Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park and our live coverage on MotoAmerica Live Plus of this fantastic championship. 10 seasons of MotoAmerica. My name is Michael Hill and we are down on the grid. You will now just see motorcycles for Stock 1000. They had their first race of the season yesterday. It was a dominant win by Hayden Gillim, who didn't have the best starts by his own admission, but he stayed calm, overhauled the early race leader Gabriel Da Silva and got on the podium. Bryce Prince got his first podium of the season with the Yamaha, 2 Hondas and a Yamaha. Ben Smith was right in the mix yesterday. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact with Bryce Prince. He went down. He will be back out today as well. Well, as you can see, our grid girls are ready and looking as lovely as ever. In fact, let's have a chat to one of our grid girls as we get ready. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much indeed. Thankfully, it's not raining, so the umbrellas today are just to keep the sun off.
Yes, just serving their purpose by shading us and the riders. Thank goodness.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, I know I've met you a couple of times. You've been in the championship for a while. What is it about MotoAmerica that you like so much?
I love the family and the community that it brings together. Everybody is so loyal to the MotoAmerica brand, and you see so many familiar faces each year, and it's just refreshing to see the same people over and over. It is really like one big happy family. It
is, apart from when I turn up and she's like, please don't come near me with the microphone. But you know what? You know what's going to happen when you tell me that? I'm going to come with you with a microphone.
Yeah. You just chase me down every single race, Mike. We'll have a chat.
No, you hate me, but it's good. It's all good. Have a good one. Right, let's go and chat to some riders. Once again, Max Flinders is on the grid. We won't speak to Max. We spoke to him yesterday. We're going to let him. He's just chatting there to one of the guys from MotoAmerica. But very interesting for me how a number of riders from different categories come down on the grid. This is Jody May. This is Jeff May's better half. And Jody is not just here holding an umbrella. Absolutely not. She's an integral part of this team. And I was so you probably do more work than Jeff anyway, Jody, to be fair. I mean, what does he do? Sit and make cups of tea?
He works. I do logistics, I guess.
How happy were you yesterday with that performance from Gabriel Da Silva? I saw some posts on social media. He's a great kid, is he? Great talent.
I'm very excited for Gabriel. He's working hard, and this kid's been doing it his whole life, so now he's getting opportunities. We wanted it to be like, we want talent that doesn't necessarily have the money to be here, but should be here. So that's the whole goal of all this.
Excellent. Well, we'll let you get ready because I can see bikes coming. So good. Nice to see you, Jody. Right, motorcycles are coming. There is Jeff May. I mean, we were just talking to Jody. She's much more important than you, mate. No offense.
It's her gig, man. I'm just here as a flunky changing tires and giving a little advice from 25 years of racing.
I know I've known you for a few years from your exploits on the world stage, and I know I spoke to you a couple of years ago as well, and you said one of the things you wanted to do when you eventually hung up the leathers was to work with a young rider that you felt had talent and that was prepared to listen to you. Seems like you found that perfect candidate in Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel's got a lot of talent, man, and he's well-deserved in the chance he's got. So I'm going to impart all my knowledge I've got, pay it forward, and let's see what he can do.
Excellent. Well, as I say, Gabriel was on the podium yesterday. There he is, in fact. The number 74 just comes to the grid. Alongside him, starting from pole position, the lap record holder, the winner from yesterday and the defending champion. That is Hayden Gillim, and Max Flinders goes across now to talk to Gabriel. I want to move back onto the second row of the grid and have a chat to Ben Smith, who, as I said in the build-up, was absolutely in the mix yesterday, fighting for the podium. There was a little bit of contact. I don't want to get into that. That was all done yesterday. Ben now is absolutely focused on turn one. Benjamin, obviously race one, that's done and dusted. This is a long championship. You've shown that you've got the speed. Thoughts ahead of this one?
Yeah, right, exactly. You said it here. So yeah, focus is on today. Tomorrow's in the past. So yeah, bike feels solid. The team's giving me a really good bike to battle on. So I think that we should be in a good spot. It's a long championship, so we're in this for the long run.
What could you learn from yesterday's race? Granted, you didn't get to the end, but you must have learned a lot. It was a very close fight, certainly in those early laps, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, absolutely. It was good to get those first couple of laps under my belt. I got to see against the guys that I'm going to be racing against for the majority of the year, I think. So, yeah, plan is just to get a good start today again, be up front like we were yesterday, and see where it all plays out.
Great, good luck today, Ben Smith. Definitely one to watch. This is Ashton Yates starting just a little bit further back on the grid. But Ashton, a lot of experience. Another rider on Honda. How good is it to see so many Hondas back on the MotoAmerica grid? Ashton, maybe not the result you wanted yesterday, but you've got more miles under your belt now. Thoughts for this one?
Oh yeah, we're still looking for something a little extra on the Honda, but it's great to be back on it though, and I feel good. And yeah, we're gonna see what happens today. Made a few changes overnight, and hopefully it'll go our way.
Excellent stuff. You can definitely count on Ashton to get the elbows out. Here is Andrew Lee. We've not had a chance to talk to Andrew at all so far on our live broadcast so far. But of course, Andrew Lee, no stranger to being at the sharp end in Stock 1000. He's a double champion. It's great to see you back, obviously, with the Motorsport Exotica team. Solid points yesterday. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a rough start to the weekend. Luckily, there's more than one day in a race weekend. So today's Sunday. We're going to just try to go work our way up the front and see what we can do.
Now, I wanted to very, very quickly, I know your focus is on the race, but your better half, Mallory, is going to be racing in the World Women's Circuit Racing, and I wanted to speak to you yesterday, never got a chance. How proud of you, or how proud of her are you at what she's achieving so far over in Italy? For those that are watching, you're not sure of what's going on, there was a new Women's World Championship, Mallory flying the American flag. She was in the top 2 in the range, she was top 6 overall. You must be so proud.
Yeah, it's great. I think she's a good face for what American women's racing is, and I'm excited to see what Misano does for her. I think it's going to be a really cool season, cool series, and I'm excited to go to some of them.
Obviously, one final question. I'm just looking at the leathers, almost noticing different things. What are these, the three little kids on your leathers? Tell us about that. What's that all about?
Our sponsor, one of our sponsors, wanted to put something a little bit different on the leathers, and so we decided to do something cool and have his kids on there.
I love that. I love that. Right, let's go back. Good luck, Andrew. A couple of other riders I want to speak to before we throw it back upstairs. This is Nolan Lampkin. We have chatted to him a couple of times over the last couple of races that I've been at. Very, very strong, not just in Stock 1000, but also in the Superbike Cup. So he certainly is going to move forward. We haven't had a chance to talk to this guy for a couple of seasons. This is Jason Uribe, who I've actually known for quite a few years. It's amazing that I've known you for almost a decade, and I'm still only 21. I don't know how that works out, but anyway, Jason Uribe back full-time with the Orange Cat team. I was saying in the broadcast as well, a lot of people don't really know your history, but you've got a lot of experience from BSB, French championships. I mean, your career path kind of went all over. I've just realised your dad's holding the umbrella. I mean, unbelievable. Is he paying you, Alan? No, some things never change. Jason, it's great to see you back. Obviously, your first race yesterday. How's it going with this new team, new project for you?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I think yesterday I had a little bit of a skewed mentality on how I wanted to attack the race, so learned a lot from yesterday. Today we have a new plan, new setup, new bike, new me. So here we are. We have a good idea of what we're going to do, and we'll make it happen.
Excellent. Believe me, when this guy gets hooked up, he can definitely send it. Have a good one, Jason. I want to go and talk to his teammate as well very, very quickly. Which side am I going to go? I'm on the wrong side. I apologise. That means I've got to cut across your beautiful, beautiful better half. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Do you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's so rude. Let me come round the other side. There we go. Got to do that. They want to see her more than me for sure. Travis, again, new project for you this year. We've just spoken to your teammate. Beautiful looking bikes, I've got to say. Orange is my favourite colour, so I might be a little bit biased in commentary. But how are you feeling going into this one?
Man, we've had a tough weekend so far. This is probably one of my worst qualifying efforts in Stock 1000, but a new team, new set of sponsors and a new set of guys working on my stuff, so it's just a steeper learning curve for us, but we learned some stuff this morning in the warm-up, and hopefully we can get a little bit closer to the front and run with these guys.
Excellent. Get the elbows out. Come on. Okay, very quickly, Steve. I think we've got literally about 45 seconds before they're going to kick us off the grid. And again, for those watching, give a shout out as well to our camera guy, Steve. I must make him work and walk about 10 miles a weekend when we're doing Mike on the mic, but he's doing a good job. Right, front row of the grid, Bryce Prince. There's Gabriel Da Silva. Here is the defending champion and, of course, the winner from yesterday. And by his own admission, didn't get the best start yesterday, but once he got in front, he was pretty much unstoppable. Final question for you then before we head back upstairs for commentary. How are you feeling? Can we do the double?
We'll see. I just got to get off the line and see what we can do. I feel good, so we're just going to try and do the same thing we did tomorrow. Haven't made much changes to the bike, so I'm feeling good and just enjoying riding right now.
You're just so calm. If I was on the grid right now, I'd be a bag of nerves. This guy just never breaks a sweat, Roger, does he? We're going to hand back upstairs to Jamie and Roger. Leave you with a smile of Hayden Gillam. Winner from yesterday. Can he do the double? We're about to find out. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Michael. And that sigh from Hayden Gillam, wondering, can he do it? He had an 11.5-second lead over the rest of the field yesterday, and that means everybody else has the work to do. He is quietly confident. We'll be back for racing right after this.
Hey, it's Max Flinders here. I'm racing with the King of the Baggers from Mad Monkey Motorsports, and we are so happy to have Lindell Brakes on our team. These beasts weigh up to 650 pounds, and we're going 170 miles an hour. So the only way to stop is to have good brakes, and Lindell Brakes give us our confidence so we can really hit the brakes, get into the corner, and get out. So with Lindell Brakes, my favorite thing about them is the feel. When you're going into the corners, you can really feel how hard you're pulling the brake to make sure you're not making those small mistakes to tuck the front, and you can really feel how much left the tire has into it. And that's what gives me such confidence to really throw this bagger into the corner. Another great part with Lindell Brakes, they actually provided our wheels last year that we got our podium with. It was my first ever podium, it was the team's first ever podium. Everyone went absolutely wild, and honestly, the wheels with the flickability and the control that I was having on the bike, I don't think I could have done it without them, so I'm hugely proud to have them as part of our team, and hopefully we can do it again in the future.
8 laps scheduled for this race. It's Mission King of the Baggers, race number 2 for Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. The lights are on. They're gone, and we're away racing. And on the inside goes the 88 of Flinders, and he's going to take over position from your reigning national champion. What a ride from Max.
And with 4 to go, Flinders finds himself with a spot and a chance to get back up on this podium once again.
And Hayden Gillum is not giving up. He's still sending. Oh, Max.
Man.
The white flag flies. This is for the final step on the podium.
You see that? Gear.
Yeah, can Max Flinders hold on? Here it comes over the hill with a huge gap is Max Flinders. One more corner to navigate, and he's going to do it again from the last race of the year to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and Max Flinders, another podium, 3rd place. Incredible.
Thank you so much to the Mad Monkey Motorsports team. This bike was phenomenal. This weekend's been phenomenal. The crowd here has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for staying through all this rain. Woo! Yeah!
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park, where you see the grid is now beginning to be cleared to get started with the second race for Stock 1000 for this weekend. Umbrellas are still up. There are still some team personnel that are out there, so that means we still have a couple of moments before we get going in this. Look at this beautiful aerial shot coming from our drone. That's Remy operating that drone shot. Let's take a look at Barber Motorsports Park, Roger. 2.38 miles, 17 turns.
Yeah, it's a busy track. When you see that map, you don't see a lot of long straightaways, and it's a lot of work on the Stock 1000 bike. So much elevation here at Barber Motorsports Park, starting through turn 1 all the way down up through over turn 4. Down into turn 5, the hardest braking corner on the track. You'll see the most of the passes through there. Important to get a good run out of there. That little straightaway 6, 7 down into the museum corner. Turn 8, 9, really fast chicane through there, 10 and 11. And the last part of the track, turn 12, goes down quickly up over the hill. Really long right-hander there. And the last corner, turn 17. Another tricky corner. You see it in the background. You can kind of see how that last corner goes away. So it pushes these guys in there. And as the tires go off, it'll get tricky.
You see the full field now out for their warm-up lap. There's one rider just waiting to get to the back of it, just to get a second look at the racetrack before we go racing. Roger, what goes through a rider's mind on this lap?
Well, you're trying to get the brakes warmed up. You're trying to get a feel for the track and also the bike. And right now you're just nervous, and you're just hoping that those changes that you made overnight were the right way.
And for Hayden Gillum, the pole sitter there, you see leading off row number 1. He said they didn't make many changes. Gabriel De Silva right next to him. Bryce Prince rounding out that front row.
Yeah, Nolan Lampkin was really fast toward the end of that race yesterday, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can get a good start, if he can come through the pack.
As you look back a little bit further, row number 5, you've got Dion Campbell, Danilo Lewis, and Joseph Giannato right there in the mid-pack. JC Camacho, Max Engels, and Augustin Sierra right there with them.
So full field this weekend in Stock 1000.
We had 33 competitors out on the racetrack yesterday. You see Alex Arango, one of the team owners for that Top Pro Motorsports, Isaiah Davis alongside him, and then Jesse Ruling right there rounding out row number 7. Manuel Segura, John Knowles right there on row number 8. all the way back on row number 10, Trevor Watson, Joe Fico, and William Posse.
Stephen Shakespeare there, 34th. Glad to see him back out again this weekend there, making the grid. Only 36 spots for these riders to make the grid.
As everyone now pulls around to find their grid position. Make sure they're behind that white line for when the lights go out. Let's talked about how the weather is very different so far this morning. 72 degrees. It's really nice outside. Humidity has also gone down 78%. Sounds ridiculous to say, but it has been much higher this weekend. And the wind has also gone down a little bit, only 7 miles per hour.
But the sun's out, and you can see the track, how hot it's getting with the sun. And these guys, it's going to be interesting these first couple laps to see who can adjust.
All right, you saw that green flag wave. The full field is there. The lights up in the top corner of your screen. As soon as they go out, it is time to go racing, and we are underway for the second race of Stock 1000. And it was a phenomenal start again for Gabriel Da Silva.
Yeah, great start for Gabriel Da Silva. Hayden Gillen with a little bit better start today as well. Into their second. Bryce Prince, Nolan Lampkin, we talked about him before the race. Hopefully he can get a good start. Has himself in the fourth.
This will be a 14-lap race, and Hayden said it after the race yesterday. He had to work too hard to get back up there into the lead. He had fallen all the way back to fourth at the start, and not the case today.
No, and he's trying to make a pass around the outside there. Gabriel Da Silva drifted a little bit wide, and Hayden's able to make the pass pretty early.
You see how hard they're pushing just on this first lap of the race. Let the rest of the field behind them settle in a little bit, but both of these riders, they want that point.
Both those guys, and you could see Gabriel was really aggressive with Hayden. He did not want to give that spot up, but Hayden was able to come through, and you can already see opened up a couple bike lengths on the pack.
Yeah, when Hayden Gillen has the clear track in front of him, it's going to be tough work for the rest of the field. He's going to be able to control that pace. Take a look at that.
Just down into turn 5, all those riders are all fighting for one spot, and the track gets really tight, and some guys are trying to make passes on the inside, and you know, not everybody's going to make it through. Luckily, they were just able to run off track, and they could get back in the race.
And both of them stayed upright. We said it, 36 entries. That is as many as this racetrack can handle, so it is a lot of traffic there on that opening lap. And Hayden Gillen with his head down as they come across the stripe. It's just a 1 second lead right now, but that's after only one lap, Roger.
Yeah, you can just see the guys behind him, how hard they're pushing to try to run with Hayden, and Gabriel also there has a little bit of a gap on Bryce and Benjamin Smith. And talking to Benjamin Smith yesterday, he was really disappointed. Felt like he had podium pace yesterday, so he was expecting big things in the race today.
Several of these riders here in Stock 1000 are also competing in the Superbike category this weekend as part of the Superbike Cup, and Ben Smith is one of them. He was able to finish 12th in the race yesterday. There's 2 rounds of competition still left for Superbike today, so some of these riders have 3 races to compete in this afternoon.
Yeah, the great thing is we see a rider down there in turn 5. That's where we've seen the problem the very first lap, and that's just the thing. It's one of the best braking places on this track, but it goes downhill, and sometimes it's hard to get it to stop.
See Ben Smith, Bryce Prince able to get on the podium yesterday. That was a great result for him. He was also running in Superbike Cup, so he finished 11th in that Superbike race yesterday. Ben Smith, oddly, the riders that finished inside of the top 5, he said that he didn't have the race that he wanted. He wanted to move forward.
And he's moving forward today, and you can see also, you know, they've kind of closed that gap to Gabriel Da Silva that last lap. They were able to, now he's only a couple tenths ahead of him. So for Benjamin Smith, I think it really he just has to get there and be smooth and not make any mistakes like yesterday, even though it was a racing incident. He needs to collect some points today.
Look back at the second pack that is for him. There's Nolan Lampkin leading. Jason Uribe, and Jason out on the grid to Michael Hill said that they have a new plan today. They had to reset themselves.
And as a rider, just didn't go the way that he wanted yesterday. Still a top 6, so not a great result. But Travis Wyman there on the back of this group, a lot better ride for him so far today.
When you go to when you go into the race knowing that, as Travis said, it's one of your worst qualifying sessions, but you're able to come back the next day and then learn in the morning warm-up and then actually put that into motion in the race and start to make up some positions, that's got to help his confidence.
It's got to help, and as Travis mentioned, you know, moving bikes, moving teams, it's still a BMW, but it's a brand new team and brand new crew. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but Hayden Gillum, last lap, 24.5. Yesterday, he broke the outright track race record at a 24.3, so he's consistently doing those laps, has a 3-second lead right now.
And the problem for the rest of the field is he's able to do those laps one after the other and just continue to build up the gap that he is already enjoying.
This is a pretty intense battle, and as you guys have said, De Silva being caught by Smith, and he's bringing Bryce Prince with him. But very, very impressive is this battle that includes Travis Wyman, Jason Uribe, and look who's moved up into 6th place, just in the back of the picture, the number 75, Richard Kerr. He's the reigning British champion, and as we talked about yesterday, he said he's going to take some time to get used to these Dunlop tyres, Roger. Very, very different from the tyres that he's used in the UK. I tell you what, he's learning them fast. He's just got up into 5th place. Brilliant ride this from Richard Kerr.
Yeah, and learning quick, and that's the big thing when you switch tire brands. Is see Gabriel De Silva, big slide. We seen that yesterday there, sliding, trying to get a good run out of turn 9. He probably can hear Benjamin Smith there behind him and trying to get a good run. Another little mistake out of Gabriel De Silva there through the chicane.
And Ben Smith is seeing the mistakes being made, and he knows that this is his opportunity, that right now Gabriel De Silva is not in a rhythm, and he's able to take advantage.
And he lost the spot to Bryce Prince as well. I'm not sure if Gabriel's not running into some sort of issue.
Richard Kerr, that number 75, right behind De Silva now, that Michael was just talking about. He said he's going to take some time to get up to speed with these tires, but with as tight as this competition is, at some point you just have to push it, right, Roger?
Yeah, and when the race starts, you hear riders always talk about they forget pain or whatever they're struggling with, and I think once the race starts and you get that other, you know, that competitor, that fire in you, you kind of forget about that. But just that experience all weekend with the tires, he's you know, we see it rider off pace there on the red bike. I'm wondering if that's De Silva.
Could that be De Silva?
Having some mistakes.
And he is moving down the order now. If you look up, showing in 8th position right now. And Benjamin Smith, he took advantage. He got himself up there to 2nd, and he's being able to hold off Bryce Prince right behind him.
Yeah, and for these guys here, you know, they're going to start coming up on other guys. And Bryce now has the opportunity to follow Ben. Ben crashed early on in the race yesterday. When you crash early in the race like he did, it kind of, there's Gabriel De Silva. He's out of the race now.
Yeah, so the mistakes that were being made perhaps were being pushed in his direction with an issue with the bike.
And for Ben Smith crashing in that race yesterday, he doesn't know what the tires and the bike's going to feel like this second half of the race. So it's going to be a little bit of an unknown for him.
You get the practice sessions, you get the qualifying sessions, and you get the opportunity to do some long runs, but when you're working through other things, you may not have that chance. Bryce Prince with his head down.
You know, Michael talked about Richard Kerr. He's actually doing the same lap times as these two in front of him, and he's not really that far behind. If he could figure out a little bit more as this race goes on, he might be able to close that little gap down to these two.
Hayden Gillum, our race leader right now, the only rider who's been able to post a time in the 124 range, and right now he's running 125 O's, which is still about half a second faster than anybody else that's in the field. He's been able to extend the gap over these two to nearly 6 seconds. As you watch them battle for the 2nd place spot up there on the podium. You can see the leader, Hayden Gillum, that just exited that shot. That's what the gap looks like right now. And then you can see the gap back to 4th and 5th with Richard Kerr leading Nolan Lampkin.
Yeah, and Hayden is just so good at consistently clicking off these laps right away. And, you know, Benjamin Smith and Bryce Prince here as they kind of battle for this last podium spot. Bryce is kind of in a really good spot right here. He's able to follow Benjamin here a couple laps now, and he's going to be able to see where maybe he's better at.
There comes Hayden Gillum, and yesterday during the Superbike race where I mentioned Bryce Prince and Benjamin Smith were both competing. It was Ben Smith that followed Bryce Prince, so perhaps he learned a couple of things by being behind him in that Superbike race yesterday. As we now turn our attention to Jason Uribe and Nolan Lampkin. Jason Uribe is being able to move up. He made that pass around Nolan.
Yeah, he talked about a new mindset today, and it looks like it's definitely a little bit better. 26.4 was his best lap yesterday. Kind of the same today, but it seems like he's able to consistently do those laps. He gets in turn 5 a little bit deep there. He just looks a little bit more aggressive today than he did in yesterday's first race.
Benjamin Smith has been in the paddock for a number of years, and he's been looking forward to this Stock 1000 competition. It is just so tight. You go down the list of the names and all of the riders who have been putting in all of the time and the effort and just being able to be out here each weekend, no matter what kind of equipment they were on, and just learning and learning the competitors. And that's Hayden Gillum. I mean, to some extent, he's been that rider, and we now see him. He won 2 championships last year, and he's got the #1 plate here in Stock 1000. And he's put in the time and the effort, and he's grown with the sport. And not only grown, but it's so important as well as he switched bikes and brands. Same team, a lot of the same crew. I think that helps. But for Hayden, it's just an incredible job he's done so far this year.
Roger, just looking at this performance from Hayden Gillum, it's a 7-second lead over this battle between Benjamin Smith and Bryce Prince. You've raced around this track and all the tracks on the MotoAmerica calendar. How difficult is it to do what Hayden Gillum is doing? Because where I'm looking at, he doesn't look like he's making any mistakes, but the mental pressure that must be going through his under his visor there, I mean, it's pretty remarkable what he's doing. It's not easy to lead from the front.
It's difficult, and just being as consistent as he is the hard part doing these laps. We talked about how physical and how tough this track is, and for Hayden, even with this lead, he's still just a little over about 6/10 off his best lap. So I think for Hayden, he's really good at getting in that rhythm, and when he wins these races, he's able to get in the lead and just click those laps off and be consistent and not make those mistakes. When you come around and your board says +7, it frees you up a little bit, knowing that there's nobody pushing you or that you don't need to go any faster.
And he gets to control the pace of the race when he has that kind of a gap, so he's not having to push his tires or the equipment and get anything out of it that maybe isn't there, which is a different story for Ben Smith, who knows that Bryce Prince is right there, just 0.3 of a second behind him, and he's having to hold him off.
Yeah, and he's just trying to do his best laps and trying to break that gap and pull away. And for Ben Smith, he's doing a great job right now, not making a mistake. But as this race winds down, he's going to close off some of those entries where he doesn't open the door for Bryce to be able to make a pass.
Nolan Lampkin used to be in this mix. We saw him right there in that 4th and 5th position. He's no longer out there in the battle. Getting a report now that he's made his way to pit lane. So Nolan Lampkin is out of this contention for one of those podium spots, which Richard Kerr now in 4th, Jason Uribe back into 5th. You see Nolan there on pit lane, and this puts Travis Wyman right up there into the top 6.
Yeah, and disappointing for Nolan. He's riding so well this weekend, and that's just part of racing. He's having a good race again today. And, unfortunately for him, he's not able to finish this.
See him there talking to the team as we now go back into this battle for 2nd. That is Bryce Prince, right behind Benjamin Smith.
As this race winds down, it's curious to see if Bryce has more pace, or is he just hanging on to Benjamin Smith. And I think now, when they come around, as the race winds down, if he gets a little bit closer, it's going to make me think that he feels like he has a little bit more pace. But Ben Smith right now, he's kind of doing all the work, and for Bryce, he's able to follow, stay relaxed. When you're following somebody, you just kind of pace yourself off them. So we'll see as this race winds down if he starts to get aggressive.
Another rider with an issue right there on the front straightaway. Let's go down to Michael Hill, who is with Nolan Lampkin.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. We can see that no longer on track is Nolan Lampkin. He's down here. Nolan, so disappointing. What is the problem? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, we were having a great race out there. We had good speed, but the handlebar broke. So I'm out on track, and the handlebar is dangling around in my hand and about to come off. So thank you to my whole team. Thank you to Visit Indiana. Thank you to Tom Motorsports. This is not the race that I wanted.
Oh, utter disappointment. Handlebar coming loose. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, from a safety point of view, Roger, you can't race these motorcycles at 170, 180 mile an hour with just one handlebar. That ain't going to work.
No, that's scary, and just as physical in the elevation at this track. Just luckily for Nolan, and thankful that he's such a good rider. He kind of nosed it right away and was able to come in before he made the situation worse.
The team looking it over. They will get themselves reset and get ready for the Superbike race that is later on this afternoon that Nolan is also competing in. I'm watching this battle for second continue, and Bryce Prince continues to look over his shoulder to see how much of a gap they have to fourth place, which is Richard Kerr at this point in time. And it is over 4 seconds right now, but looking at the times that Ben Smith and Bryce Prince are putting in, they're consistently within the same 2/10. I think that Bryce is just holding on to the back of him.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's just sitting there right behind him. You see Nolan there on the left side, just how frustrated he is. He was having such a good race. The mechanic also, you know, they're disappointed as well, you know, when a mechanical like that happens. Sometimes it's just a part that fails, but the mechanics, they take it personal as well.
With 4 laps to go in this race, you see there Hayden Gillum, our race leader, now with over 9 seconds of a gap, 0 pressure behind him. As this battle for second continues on, it's still Benjamin Smith who's leading the way over Bryce Prince.
Yeah, and Benjamin's doing a great job with the pressure behind him, just doing these really good laps. And, you know, Bryce hasn't got close enough yet to make a pass, and we'll see as the laps wind down, if he's able to get a little bit closer to make a pass. It's tough to pass here at Barber, and Bryce is going to have to find a little bit more speed if he's going to be able to make the pass from Ben.
Yeah, because this was the question mark, the second half of the race for Ben Smith, and what were the tires going to do? Did he have the experience on the bike to know? And when you look at him right there, he still looks like he's got a solid bike underneath him that he's comfortable with.
Yeah, it still looks good. It's not sliding around. The stock 1000 toward the end of the race with the horsepower, you start really losing a lot of rear grit. And for Benjamin Smith, it looks like he's still, you know, able to do the same lap times. His last lap, 26.0. That's only a little bit off his best lap, so he's doing some consistent times.
But for Bryce Prince and getting this experience riding behind Benjamin Smith for all of these laps, he's going to be the first to pick up on where the opportunity might be.
And just watching the race, it just seems like each other is better in different sectors. And one sector, Benjamin pulls away a little bit, and other ones, Bryce is able to close it up. And that's the thing, Bryce is able to see the sectors that he is struggling in, and Benjamin Smith doesn't have the opportunity to see where Bryce is quicker than him.
They're both on Yamahas, and it's one thing that you've talked about this weekend, just all of the different manufacturers that are available in the different categories. And for Bryce being behind another Yamaha and knowing that that's what that bike's capable of, mine's capable of doing the same thing.
And also he gets the opportunity to see how his bike handles compared to either, actually both of those, Benjamin and Bryce Prince. Does he get off the corner better than I do? And, you know, you can learn when you're behind somebody if they're on the same brand and see that maybe they're doing something different that you would like done to your bike that's better, that you're struggling with.
This will be a 10 race championship for Stock 1000. This is only race number 2, round number 1. For these competitors, are going to take a fairly long break after this weekend here at Barber Motorsports Park. The next time we'll see them out on track will be Brainerd. So a lot of these competitors are going to go back to the shop, and they're going to know exactly what they need to work on.
And they have a little bit of time to figure out, have this first race, see where they can improve the bike and the riders, and maybe do some club racing as well. As you see now, Benjamin's starting to run a little bit wide in a couple places. Turn 2, that last lap was a little bit wide as well.
Hayden Gillum starting to catch some traffic as he's still out there. 2 laps to go for Hayden Gillum, but Bryce Prince is right there. He's ready to make the move. He's been turning the same lap times as Ben Smith consistently throughout this race, and he's watched Ben. He knows exactly where he can make that move, and we saw there when Ben went a little wide that Bryce is ready.
Yeah, Bryce is right there. It looks like Benjamin Smith made a couple mistakes that last lap, and through here Bryce is going to be in a good spot. This part of the track is a little bit easier to follow somebody. They go up over the rise. It'll be tough to pass there. But if Benjamin, in this long right-hander, if he drifts up a little bit, Bryce will be able to come in the inside. So this last lap, he's going to close off those inches.
You see at the top of the screen, final lap. These two have now taken the white flag. That means Hayden Gillum, almost 11 seconds up the road, has already started his final lap of this race, but this battle for second is certainly not over. Bryce Prince wants to move up another step on the podium.
Yeah, Benjamin's moved up the last couple laps in the middle of this corner where Bryce is able to make the pass, and Bryce is just trying to get a good run up over this hill because turn 5, the next left-hander, is one of the best places to pass. It just doesn't look like he can get close enough to be able to take a shot, but he around the outside.
See if Ben Smith can get back on the inside.
Wow, you don't see a lot of passes into there around the outside.
On the final lap of the race, Bryce Prince, he'd been watching and he knew exactly where he had his best opportunity. Maybe not one that's as common as others, but he was able to get around him, and for now he's able to hold Ben Smith there in that 3rd position.
Not only make that pass around the outside, but also not run too wide to give Benjamin the spot back.
Could almost see his shoulders just sink with a sigh of relief as he made that move, put his head back down, and now it's just go time, get all the way to the checkered flag and move up a step on the podium from yesterday. As you now see Hayden Gillum, our race winner. He was our pole sitter. He had a much better start, only had to make one pass today. Still in the wheelie position, taking the checkered flag to win race number 2 in defense of the Stock 1000 Championship, as we now see Bryce Prince coming over to the checkered flag, and he will finish second with Benjamin Smith right behind him, rounding out our top 3. It was just another great, solid race for Hayden Gillum, and he said they didn't make many changes to that motorcycle. He felt good. He said he didn't know, can we do it again? Maybe. Don't know what the rest of the field was going to do, but he did exactly what Hayden Gillum does, and he just put his head down, continued to turn out consistent laps. You can see at the beginning of the race, he was definitely pushing. His best lap came on lap number 2, and then he was able to just settle in, find his own rhythm, and not push it too hard to get his second race win of the weekend.
And you can just see from lap 2 all the way down to lap 4, those 4 laps he put together, he kind of built that gap and was able to slow down a little bit. And he's been the man to beat all weekend. He's been really fast in practice and qualifying, and he's did a great job. The team gave him a great bike as well.
The celebration around the track. He's got his family here with him this weekend. We saw everyone over in the Victory Lane area yesterday. He's had his daughter with him up on the podium, and he said, you know, he's riding different now. He's much more relaxed, and the things that would bother him before maybe not bother him as much, and he's able to just reflect on it and then just go out and get results.
Also, too, has a lot of family here this weekend. It's probably our closest race from Owensboro. I seen his granddad here yesterday, so it's really cool feeling whenever you can win in front of a lot of your family and get to understand when they come here what it's like, and when they see you win, it's a really good feeling. And Hayden, you can just see the excitement he has.
Much different rider than he was just a few years ago, and he's going to come around and as our top 3 make their way over to the podium to celebrate. Let's go ahead and look at some of the highlights from this race today, Roger. Started off with the start. Hayden Gillum, much better than what he was yesterday.
Yeah, much start for Hayden Gillum today, but Gabriel De Silva there on the inside was able to get a little bit better start. Nolan Lampkin also talked about getting a better start, was able to do that. You see Hayden Gillum was feeling good early. Tried to make the pass around the outside. Ube went a little bit wide, and Hayden was able to cut under there. And from there, Hayden was just able to kind of to pull away. And then we had this battle for the podium with Jason Ube, Benjamin Smith, Bryce Prince. You see Ben Smith there making the move, and you don't see the red bike in the picture no more because Gabriel De Silva ran into some sort of issue. He's making some mistakes, and he's wondering if it was him or a mechanic going to put him out of the race. But from there, Hayden Gillum just consistently put those laps in, chipping away over 10 seconds at one point, and it's like the battle. Last lap, passed around the outside for Bryce Prince to get the second spot on the podium, but it was all about Hayden Gillum winning by 10.5 seconds. He slowed down a lot on the last lap, and he's just been solid so far to start the year.
Take a look at the full results. You've seen the top 3. Richard Kerr is a great race for him at being able to finish 4th. Jason Uribe with that new plan, rounding out the top 5. Travis Wyman, that was a big step up for him, being able to be inside of the top 6. Wyatt Ferris was a great race, a solid 7th place finish. Aston Yates there in 8th, and then Deion Campbell rounding out the top 9. You see our race winner, Hayden Gillum. He has made his way over to his family. Those moments are just so special. You think he just went out there and pushed himself for 14 laps. Was the pole sitter, had to fight his way back into the lead after a better start, but falling back just 1 position, and then he's able to go over and just be so relaxed and so calm with his family.
Yeah, and those pictures, whenever, you know, his kids get older, and he talks about what he did as a racing career, and they're able to go to those, have those pictures, and it's going to be great. And I think it's really, you know, when Hayden started having a family, and, you know, his wife has been a big influence. He's talked about that in his career, and really helping him kind of, he said, mature, and it shows in his riding as well.
All 3 bikes are there, and I think Michael Hill is as well. Let's go down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, absolutely down here with the man of the moment. We call that a gentleman's set. Pole position, fastest lap, new lap record, double race win, 50 points on the board. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, it doesn't get much better than that. It was a really good first weekend for the Stock 1000. And yeah, these guys have worked their butts off the last couple months. We didn't get these bikes till like 2 weeks before, or right before Daytona, and didn't get all the parts until right before Atlanta. So we're slowly getting there. This bike came together this week, and man, it's really good. It's really good. I'm really happy with the Honda. It took a little bit to get going on it at first, you know, whenever we've been going and testing it, and now we've got a really good setting with it. And if we found out this morning, we tried to make a couple changes in the Superbike session, and you know, a couple clicks here and there throw the thing way off. So we got a good spot where we're at, and yeah, the Steel Commander, Southern Power Sports, Honda guys, they gave me a heck of a bike this weekend.
It was a great job. I don't know if he plays baseball, but he might as well think about taking it up because he was in a league of his own. Let's move on to Bryce Prince. 3rd yesterday, 2nd today. Solid points for the championship. I'm not a mathematician, but I think that puts you P2 heading to the next round. Great job today.
Yeah, you know, we had another good race today. I'm happy to get one more step on the box. You know, we still got a little bit to go to catch up to Hayden, but, you know, we're going to do everything we can to get there. Had a good race against Ben today. Hats off to him. He's run really well, and, I mean, it wasn't that I was just hanging out behind him. He was putting in some good laps, and I kind of noticed, you know, it seemed like he started fading a little in the tire the last few laps. I'm like, all right, here's my chance, and I just took a gamble. Whichever way he went with the lapper, I was going to go the other way to see if it paid off. And yeah, just hats off to my team, my whole BPR team, Kern County Power Sports back home, our dealership, Quentin, Jason, Lewis, Mike, Scott, Paul, all the guys here that came here with us. Just we're looking forward to more this season. So thank you guys.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what Bryce can do when the series picks up. And yeah, come on, let's keep the applause going down here. There's a lot of fans down here in Fan Zone, and a huge round of applause surely for this guy, Ben Smith. Well, what a difference 24 hours make. Yesterday on the floor, today on the podium. A little bit of redemption for yesterday. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a different situation than yesterday. Unfortunately, we had our mishap, and we didn't get to try some of the things that we had wanted over the race distance yesterday, but the team gave me a great bike, a bike that I could fight on. I feel like I rode a solid race, not too many mistakes, but yeah, hats off to Bryce. He chose the correct line on the lapper there. But overall, I'm super happy to rebound, like you said, from yesterday. Can't thank the whole Flow for Law team enough. I mean, these guys have worked their butts off coming into this season, and like I said, they've given me a great motorcycle to fight with. So we're in this for the long run. I'm happy to collect points leaving this weekend, and we're ready to roll on to the next one.
Thanks, Ben. And Jamie, as Ben said, it's a long old season. Points make prizes. You can't win the championship here, but Hayden Gillum has certainly taken one step towards it.
Yes, Hayden Gillum made quick work of defending that championship that he has enjoyed with that #1 plate. You see him up there, perfect weekend, 50 points. Bryce Prince able to move himself up with 2 podium finishes, now 14 points behind Hayden. Richard Kerr right there in the mix as well, Roger.
Yeah, Jason Uribe, good weekend for him, solid there, 4th. Gabriel De Silva going to lose a couple spots today with that mechanical. Ashton Yates, Wyatt Ferris. Benjamin Smith, after crashing yesterday, good result today, already has him inside that top 10.
And again, it is a 10-race championship for Stock 1000. So we still have 8 races remaining before we really dive deep into these points. But all of these riders now know that they've got some work to do before they get to their next round at Brainerd International Raceway. We are going to be back right after this. We're going to get into some Royal Enfield Build Train Race.